Hey, welcome back to Dealer Confidential, where we take the curtain back, take it back, pull it back, do something with the curtain, get rid of the curtain, and talk about dealership transactions, right? Today's show is all about alphabet soup. LOI, APA, NDA, CIM. We're going to throw out all the alphabet and try to figure out what they all mean. Does that sound good, guys?
Sounds terrific. Sounds good to me. Always a question mark.
Yeah. So let's first define what these things mean, at least a couple of them. LOI is letter of intent, and APA is asset purchase agreement. And we'll talk about the differences and where they come into play in terms of sequencing. First, we'll start with LOI. So I would say it, and you guys chime in. I would say an LOI is a non-binding expression of interest to purchase a dealership, a store, or a piece of real estate if real estate is involved. Non-binding, so it's kind of like, this is what I think it looks like. This is what I think the transaction looks like. I may change my mind when I get into due diligence, another DD, alphabet soup. But right now, I think it's going to be at this kind of price, and this is my preliminary capital structure. This is the timing, and there are two things that I think are binding in a letter of intent. One is confidentiality. You don't share this with people outside the transaction. And two is, and this is a biggie for sellers, exclusivity. So I've got a deal on the market now. I sign an LOI, and that LOI 9.9 times out of 10 is going to say, I don't want you talking to anybody else while I study the business. And the reason the buyer does that is he doesn't want to start spending money with an attorney to do an LOI or to do an APA, asset purchase agreement. He's going to be starting to spend money, and he's also going to spend a lot of time digging through the financials and stress testing all of the numbers. So I try to, and Joe chime in, as a broker, I try to restrict the amount of exclusivity period because I can't take this thing off the market forever because I can't talk to anybody else.
Right? One of the points you just made a few seconds ago, which is also very imperative for the seller, is that they also want confidentiality to the extreme degree. One of the big aspects is the employees. I mean, you start losing employees very fast, and you might lose key employees. That hey, I heard that. Did you hear they're going to sell to one of the publics? Or I have a famous line. A guy walks into my office. He's wearing a white shirt. By the time he gets to the fifth person, he's got black stripes, polka dots, and it's pink. People embellish. People take it and run and add color to it. And so, God forbid, if that information leaks out, it can get very dangerous. I've seen that. Oh my God, a bazillion times, and it's really crucial for the seller that and the key document before anything is the NDA, right? There's a non-disclosure agreement spells out that, hey, we're going to talk. We're going to go into this subject matter between you and I and nobody else. And once we agree, we'll send each other the LOI so that we can review it and go forward from there. So the NDA is so crucial. Yeah. In the beginning of the conversation, it's like, I learned it the hard way because it's happened to me where there was a discussion and then it got leaked out. I'm like, well, who said, I know it wasn't me, but it didn't matter at that point. It was, you've got to deal with the spilled milk. So yeah, NDA is crucial which then leads to that, which then of course leads to the APA, which is the next transaction.
There's your alphabet soup, Al.
Yeah.
Getting hungry. Yes.
Yeah. Now, let me share with you, my difficult deal that you guys know that I'm working on. Well, the owner just said to me, even with signed NDAs, he said, how in the world have I heard that my store is for sale from 12 different people in the past week?
Jeez.
And I couldn't answer him. I called up the protected buyer and I said, who have you been talking to? And their answer, these are the used car guys. And again, I don't mean that negatively. I'm just saying that they're not familiar with a lot of the process. And he says, oh, we haven't talked to anybody. Well, somebody you talk to, and somebody talked to somebody else.
I know that deal, Greg. As you know, we've talked about it, and that's a perfect example. It's a live example of someone who has verbally shopped the store with other people, and then my famous white shirt story, right? The guy says, "Hey, did you hear that so and so? I think he's selling the store." Yeah. Oh, he's in trouble with the manufacturer. Oh, yeah, he's in trouble with Floor Plan. Oh, yeah, he's losing all his people. The story starts to embellish, and then it travels like wildfire time that guy finishes, there's 13 people that know about everything. So it becomes, one of those things where it's just so crucial to really, really watch what you say, who you say it to. If you're thinking about selling a store, buying a store, again, this is where we come in and we can help people tremendously because been there, done that, understand the playing field, and we can guide people really cautiously. Especially this is when you get to this point. This is a real crucial point of whether you can make a deal or can't make a deal, and you need guidance. And your guy, unfortunately, has spilled the milk unintentionally, and now he's playing dumb. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
how do people know that I'm selling?
The question that always asks, Hal, I think we talked about this before, is our clients, our new clients, and they said, do I have to get a lawyer right off the bat to start working with you guys? And Hal, I'll let you answer that.
No, the answer is no. We can do the letter of intent. We do them. We have a library full of them. Some good, some bad. I've seen very short LOIs, and I've seen 6 or 7, 8 page LOIs that really look like an asset purchase agreement. So depending on the level of sophistication and how much detail is known at the time of the LOI, you tailor the length and the depth and the complexity of the LOI to the particular situation. So we can handle this. It's non-binding. So why pay an attorney? Now, an attorney would probably, and we'll have an attorney on here. Let's have an attorney on here, Greg and Joe, and get their view of it. Attorneys like to do legally binding documents. Well, the LOI is not legally binding. My thought is if you want to talk to an attorney, by all means, talk to an attorney, but you don't have to. That's the bottom line.
I think a lot of guys make that mistake. And the reason I say it's a mistake is because the attorneys are going to give them guidance based upon due process. So real estate questions, environmental issues, and they're going to get sort of nitty gritty into the deal before you even have it. And before you even have the analysis, our expertise actually, if you think about it, right? What we bring to the table is we're going to do the analysis of the deal. We're going to look at the store. We're going to give it both a 3,000 as well as a 30,000 foot view, depending how much the customer wants us to do. And based upon that, then we can format and see if the deal makes sense for both parties. Because a lot of times, and we just talked about this before we went on the air, is that, hey, sometimes there are deals that it just don't make sense. And we want to make the deal, but it's just not going to pan out. So this is where we do all this legwork. May do a little bit of it, doesn't charge an arm and a leg, and also does not have the expertise. Same way that our expertise is not an APA. Are we familiar with it? Do we know it well? Absolutely. We've seen hundreds of them, but that doesn't make us an expert on it. They're the expert. We're the experts on that NDA, the LOI, and the discussion and the analysis of the business. And I think that's where people should look for people like us to help first, have the conversations. Yeah, right. And then when we have something solidified, that LOI is signed, that's the time to bring in the right attorney that's going to represent the deal.
Let's talk about getting there, because we've had a couple of customers, clients, whatever you want to call them, Hal, and Hal remembers this, in that we've had guys say, hey, listen, I've got a deal. I have a property that I want to buy, a franchise that I want to buy. I'm the buyer. I have a deal. Here it is, XYZ, but I need someone to put it together for me. So this is where Hal and I didn't go out and find the seller. I didn't go out and find the buyer. The buyer came to me with the deal. So at this point, we're saying to ourselves, this is perfect. And I say to these guys, let us take it over from now on, from this point on. We'll do the LOI. We'll tie up the property. We'll let you get a good look at what's inside this place and what's underneath the paperwork. And we'll do this for you. So I guess what we're talking to is our potentially new clients, is that we don't necessarily want you to have a deal. We don't necessarily want you to complete a deal. We want you to come to us with the idea that I want to do a deal, and we'll take care of everything else. And just call us up. We've got a lot of new clients coming in. We're doing great. As you could see, we brought Joe on board as well. This is an exciting time. I keep saying, I said it last show, springtime is happening. A lot of dealers are getting a little nervous, not from a business standpoint, but from hey, you know what? It's time for me to move on, as we talked about last show.
Yeah.
Okay, Hal, what else do you got after that?
Well, a couple of notes on just sellers beware, right? Before you sign an LOI, this is also where we come in. You want to make sure before you take your business off the market, you want to make sure of financial capacity and operational capability. All right. So we will vet the prospect. Why take the business off the market if the guy or gal doesn't have the capital to get not only to buy the deal, but to get the working capital that the OEM's going to demand, and also have the qualifications to be able to get the OEM approval. OEM, another alphabet, original equipment manufacturer, right? Ford, Chevy, Kia, Hyundai, Subaru. So don't sign the LOI and lock your business up. And there's a lot of buyers out there that will jump into an LOI to lock a business up. And then they'll have 10 or 12 LOIs going on, knowing that they're only going to buy one, but they've got now a lot of deals tied up because they're still shopping, right? We won't let that happen. We'll make sure that we have a serious buyer that's capable of buying the store that can get approved before the seller signs the.
We just talked about that. You're a looker and not a buyer. Then don't call us. We're not into that. We close deals, we make deals, and we move the process forward. So if you're going to, like Hal just said, if you're going to put out a half a dozen or a couple of LOIs just to see which one sticks, we're not the team for you. But you can do that with a real estate broker and do whatever you want with that. But don't call us. If you're serious about a deal, bring the deal to us. If you're looking for a deal, come to us and we'll find the deal for you, both from the buy side and the sell side.
That reminds me of more alphabet. MIA, missing in action. We don't want any missing in action deals.
Right.
Yeah.
Al, how many of these do you have in your pocket?
I have a lot of alphabet.
Okay, keep going. What's next?
So look, we're now.
It's Campbell's,
They could be a sponsor. Now we've signed the LOI. We're doing due diligence. They're stress testing the financials. They're talking about the people. They're talking about the facility. They're talking about the working capital. And we have gone out. We find a transaction attorney, a dealership transaction attorney. We've talked about the difference. We want somebody familiar with the jargon and the conventions of an automotive transaction, which are unique. And that individual, again, to Joe's point earlier, we stay in our lane. This is not our lane. We go to the professional who will now put a legally binding agreement, not non-binding, legally binding, APA, asset purchase agreement, an REPA, a real estate purchase agreement. How about that? More alphabet. But contracts, the attorney will put, and these things they could be 20 pages, they could be 120 pages, right?
Well, yeah. Depending on the complexity.
There's reps and warranties, and there's earnest monies, and there's different time capsules and milestones within the deal, how we're going to value the used vehicles, how we're going to value the parts. All of the things that we've been talking about, the nuts and bolts of the deal, are all spelled out in legally binding fashion in the APA or the R.
And it's tough enough when it's one shingle. If it's multiple shingles, then it really gets complicated because the deal may be, you may have 4 stores. Of the 3, you can do the similar transaction with those 3, but the 4th one, that manufacturer is a little quirky and requires a whole different set of nuances. Again, I keep repeating myself, but this is what I'm begging the public to understand. We can spend hours on all these subject matters because we've lived it. We do it every day. We understand it. And again, that's the expertise that we bring to the table for someone who's looking and shopping. And I agree with Greg. Look, if you're a looker, you're going to just throw some deposits down. That's not worth it. But if you are a looker who needs guidance and wants us to sit with you and go and really be open-minded to this whole conversation, and give us a call, because then you're looking to graduate into the next level. So that.
Yeah, and Hal, as you mentioned, there's a couple of more letters within your real estate purchase agreement, EPA, EP, all these other things now crop up into this. A lot of times, a real estate broker or attorney does understand those aspects because it's a purchase of a property. But what they don't understand is what the property has been used for how many years. And it was a body shop at one time. And then it was a lube shop at one time. And this goes back to 1950. And then it was XYZ.
It was a gas station.
1960s. And then it was a Burger King. And then it switched over back to a car dealer. All these things have to be taken into account. And a lot of times, again, a typical real estate broker, doesn't understand the longevity of the deal how long it's been around, what it's been used for, how it was used, was it abused? So we got to do a lot of good research for you. Now, God willing, you can buy the property. We're always recommending buying the property. It's an asset. It's an asset that keeps giving, and we always want to do that. But if it's a bad property, you're not going to do it. We're not going to let you do that. So that's another reason why we jump in, all three of us jump in and find out really what's going on with this property. There's a lot of red flags that the dealer has said or that we've seen, or maybe we've done some preliminary research ourselves, which the three of us will do. And we'll research because Hal and I are brokers. And we could research that property and find out really what happened to it or what will happen to it. Okay. So those are a couple more 3-letter words, Hal, for you.
Yep. I wrote them down.
Okay. Next, what do you got?
I think it's time for the gratuitous self-indulging promotion.
Do I get to do that?
Yeah, you're good at that.
Oh, okay.
Good at shameless plugs.
Okay, this is it's halfway through the show.
Those are the words I was looking for.
Shameless plug. Dealer Confidential, www.dealerconfidentialpodcast.com. We would love to hear from you. And as we said in the show the other day, that we won't charge you to take a look at what you're doing. We won't charge you to give you some advice as to yes or no and stuff like that. We want you to become a client. That's where we will really shine for you, is when you become one of our clients. So if you have an inkling, if you have some monies that you need to invest, if you have a family trust that you need to get out of, so you want to sell the franchise and the property, or you may want to sell the franchise and keep the property. That's another one, How we didn't talk about that one yet. And, or you want to maybe leverage the property in a lease buyback type of thing. These are, we got to come up with a letter thing for lease buyback. LBB, we'll do that one. That's a good one. So shameless plug is almost finished. Sign up. Go to the website. You'll be able to see all of our podcasts. You'll be able to get Hal's white paper. You get our emails. And of course, you get a free look at whatever you're looking at from an opinion standpoint. And we'd be glad to do that for you. We do that for a lot of customers, and, we have clients all over the country, and we continue to do that. So please, shameless plug, do it.
Yep.
How's that?
Good.
Okay, Hal, back to you.
I
Oh,
owe you an idea for the next podcast, and I'll get back with you on that.
you do. Okay, we got a couple of minutes left in this podcast. Give us, Joe, do you have any 3 letters for us?
The first one that came to mind was that I spoke earlier in the beginning was the NDA.
Yeah.
Following up into the next
Yep.
phase. But there's so many acronyms. I think, Hal gave a lot of them, and we can spend 10, 15 minutes on each one, literally. So, but there's just a lot. This is a good podcast for people that are looking
Well,
to get
I'll give you a
their
couple.
information, because there's just a lot. And again, if you don't have the working shoes that we've had and lived it, understand it, do it every day, it's hard for someone who maybe we always talk about the used car operator, or he's a used car operator. He's got a small lot. He's done very well for the past 20 years. He owns his own property. He's got a lot of equity, and he wants to move on to the next level. And that's the perfect guy for us to spend some time to have a conversation and guide them.
Well, I'm going
what
to
the next
close.
opportunity may be.
I'm going to close with my little alphabet thing. SAP. S-A-P. Do not, dealer friends, buyer friends out there, do not get scared off by a SAP. Okay. That is a ploy by both sides to think that they can push something forward that they can't. You can't do that. So for you to wave that ASAP around, it doesn't do anybody any good. And I've heard it, 3 times this week alone. I need to do it as soon as possible. Why do you need to do it as soon as possible? You going to jail, or you leaving the, why do you need to do it as soon as possible? This cannot be done that fast. We have to take our time. So whenever anybody says that to me, number one, it sends up a little bit of a red flag, unless it's by the seller. That sends up a bigger red flag, because that tells me there's something wrong and this seller's got to jump ship on this thing, or he feels that his window is closing on it. So that's why it's ASAP. So my closing words to today's show from my side is ASAP. Clients out there, future clients, prospective clients, don't fall into that trap. Step back, take a deep breath, sit down, have a coffee, and then call us up and say, hey, what do you think? And we'll give you our honest opinion. Right, Hal? Right, Joe?
Absolutely.
That's it. I'm finished. You guys finished?
That's the key.
Hal, what are we doing next week?
I don't know. I owe you an answer.
You do? Joe,
He's
what are we
leaving it
doing next
with an
week?
alphabet. He's leaving it
Yeah.
off with the alphabet.
Joe, what are we doing next week? I think
You an answer. I mean, that's
I'm going to give you what we're doing next week.
get it to you ASAP.
I'm going to give you an ASAP. I'm going to give you something that we haven't discussed, maybe a little tiny bit. The body shop.
Okay.
It's an area we've been talking about fixed ops. We've had a fixed ops expert on last week, which was great, by the way. We should get Mark back as well.
Yeah, he was.
There are opportunities in body shops. I just found this out, Hal, that I guess in South Carolina, we're dealing with that guy. Remember, we talked about him last week with the dealerships, the multiple dealerships he's trying to buy. All of the dealerships in South Carolina can have a body shop at no crazy stuff, no EPA coming in authorizing it. It just requires a city and state authorization that you're going to have this. And
Body shops are interesting because the realm of control from governmental institutions, state to state as well as federal, gets a little
Right.
dicey and quirky. Some states are very flexible, like Carolina, and then you get into Jersey, California, or New York, where it's really
And so next episode, we'll explore the advantages of having a body shop, the disadvantages, the financial opportunities at a body shop, because I've had body shops all my life. I've been playing in them with my collector cars and everything else. So, great opportunity. That's usually one of the first things I ask when I look at a dealership. Number one, do you have a body shop? Number two, are you licensed? Or number three, if you don't have a body shop, can we get one? That's what we're going to do for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Shameless plugs. DealerConfidentialPodcast.com. Do it.
look forward to the next one.
Have
All
a
right.
great week.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.